everybody. This is Anthony Bionis from Mission Start Podcast. I believe it's episode 18. Yeah, we're legal now.
Yes.
Today with me, I have three people, one of which is from our website, two of which are not. We have Greg Dietz from The Overtime.
Hello.
We have, I'm going to pronounce your name, Kazu. I may butcher it. Hikaru Kishime.
Kazushime.
Kazushime.
You can call me Kazu for short.
Right. And you are from the Runaround Network websites.
Yes.
Awesome. And with us from our website is Sam Lewis, our convention reporter out in the East Coast.
Yep. Hey, everybody.
And today we're going to be talking about the whole debacle with DLC as of late, as gamers have starting to realize that some game companies put the DLC already on the game disc when they're just paying for the code to unlock them. But first, before we get into that discussion, what up to you guys?
Nothing much. I just beat Mass Effect 3 the other day. Actually, 2 days ago.
Nice.
Real quick, I gotta mention this because it is all over the internet as well as the on-disc DLC thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys have heard the controversy over the ending, right?
I've heard about it.
I've heard a little bit.
Don't spoil for me because I'm...
No. I wouldn't
haven't
dream of
finished it,
spoiling. Yeah, I wouldn't dream of spoiling. What I will say this is the problem that I have with people bitching about this DLC, or about not DLC, I'm sorry, about the ending, is that the ending is in a certain way not what everyone was expecting. I'll just say that much.
Okay.
So I think that's what pisses people off the most part is like they didn't get what they were expecting. And to me that whole like idea of expecting an ending and then get pissed off because it's not the ending you want has been a thing in science fiction for I don't even know how long. The end of the Matrix trilogy, the end of Lost, the end of Battlestar Galactica. Fans are always going to be pissed off and screaming and yelling and whining and bitching about the ending of their favorite sci-fi franchise, and they're never going to get the ending that they want. And so it like at first I was really upset and was like making a big old stink about people getting upset about it because I liked the ending a lot. I thought it was very well done, very thought-provoking. So in that regard, it's a good piece of art, but fans don't want to see it that way because of certain little aspects here and there. And it's really funny too because I've heard people go like the ending didn't bother me, it was something in the ending that bothered me. I'm like, that's the same thing, but whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, just wanted to address that real quick because it's been bugging me for the past couple days because I can't go on to anything like any kind of news thing about anything that has to do with Mass Effect without seeing at least half of the comments be, fix the endings, come out DLC that fix the endings. I'm like, would you ask Monet to fix a petal on one of the flowers in his paintings? Would you ask, oh my God, I can't think of his name all of a sudden, Steven Spielberg to change something in one of his iconic classic movies because you didn't like it? No. If the artist decides to change it, that's his own thing. But I think when an artist changes the work that's already been released, it decreases the value of the art.
Very true.
For example, like E.T., great piece of art, great piece of work. You change it to accommodate certain people's like sensibilities by changing, shotguns into walkie-talkies. You lose some of that artistic aspect to it. So I think that BioWare should not touch it. Should just come out with DLC for the multiplayer and maybe new missions and stuff for the single player, and I'll be happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so anybody who's bitching about the ending, just shut the fuck up. You're gonna move on to the next sci-fi thing that you like.
It's true.
Or the next fantasy thing that you like, and then that's gonna end as well, and you're gonna be in a hissy about that one too.
It's very true. I mean, as far as like gamers wise, like yes, right now like everybody's bitching about it, but like given time, like they're not gonna remember this. Like because like we've seen this before, gamers who are upset with certain things that game companies do will often try in some way to change it, even though they'll still buy it. Now, like the whole, what was it when people were boycotting Left 4 Dead 2 because it came out too early, and like they had a big
wow.
they had a big forum on Steam. It's like we're boycotting Left 4 Dead 2 because it came out too early, and you guys said you're gonna put more DLC in Left 4 Dead 1, and then what happened? Well, a ton of people still bought the game, and eventually they probably did too. So it's not like they're gonna change or do anything that affects. Not to say that some petitions does work or not, but in the eyes of gamers, it will like the shit right now is like they'll pay attention to it, but later on they'll forget about it. Nobody's gonna remember this.
Right. And it also is that whole thing of people just they don't want their thing to end. And I think that's a stupid concept, considering that most of the things that we enjoy nowadays, especially as I'm gonna say geeks and gamers, but they don't get endings. I mean, take one of the franchises that came out a few years ago. My buddy, he'll never get the end to his like one of his favorite games, which was Advent Rising.
Mm-hmm.
That game will never have an ending.
Yeah.
So it's like, be grateful that Mass Effect has an ending.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to totally squander that because you didn't enjoy the ending 100% is just downright ignorant to me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
I agree.
But in that, Greg, what have you else been up to?
just been watching TV. Watched the new episode of Community's Return last night, which was hilarious.
Nice.
Watched Young Adult 2 nights ago, the movie with Charlize Theron and Patton Oswalt.
Oh yeah.
And I can't think of his name, but he played Night Owl in Watchmen.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the movie too. That movie's okay. Diablo Cody has a way with her writing that drives me absolutely insane. Like, I love Juno, love Jennifer's Body, but she does this weird thing where she tries to come up with words that she hopes will connect with a young audience and become this big old thing, like kind of like how MILF did. That's what she wants. She wants MILF to, like, she wants something to become the next MILF. That's what I'm trying to say. Couldn't get that out of my mouth. Like, she has oh my god, what instead of in the movie, there's those two girls talking about a guy and a girl having, instead of sexual chemistry, they have textual chemistry.
Oh, geez.
Interesting.
Stop it, Diablo Cody. This shit's not fucking cool. So, like, that kind of stuff bugs the living shit out of me. And they try to play it off in the movie to say, like, or the director at least does, because it's not Diablo Cody, she doesn't direct it, but they try to play it off in the regards that it's okay because Charlize Theron's character is a writer for like teenage novels or young adult novels, hence the title Young Adult. But the meat and bones of the entire movie is that Charlize Theron's character is going through a midlife crisis, if you will, because she is essentially living alone, single in Minneapolis. And so she goes to, like, her old hometown that's like 10 hours away just to win back this guy she dated in high school. Because she was, like, the most popular girl in high school. But now she's a writer that lives hella far away from her hometown. And the only reason that she decides to go back is because she gets a letter from the guy, or an email from the guy, saying that him and his wife just had her first baby. And there's, like, little things here and there that I won't spoil for people who want to actually see it that unfold throughout the story. And Patton Oswalt's character, he went to high school with her. And what she's going through, he's kind of like her Jiminy Cricket, if you will. Her voice of reason that's not getting through to her at all.
Right.
Like, I love his character. I love what he does with the character, but his character's borderline useless. He doesn't change her mind. He never once gets through to her, ever. She still goes through with things and makes huge mistakes. But in the end, like, it just ultimately didn't matter that he was there. However, I think that the character is really good because what he does give to the movie is a way for her to express what she's thinking to him. So much like with a novel where you can just, like, the writer can just go inside the character's head, they do that with this character. That's their tool with him, is to get to let us as the audience know what she's thinking without having a thought bubble or whatever.
Gotcha.
And then also with the whole like voice of reason thing, like I guess that's like a good thing, but like as for plot device, he serves no purpose. So other than that, I mean, like I said, it's not bad. There's a lot of stuff I did enjoy about it. None of the acting was awful in any measure. The overall premise is this like dark story that ends on a self-revelation kind of thing, which is fantastic. I love that. So, yeah, I highly recommend. Oh, not highly recommend it, but I do recommend it. I mean, if you enjoy kind of those underground movies that don't really get a whole lot of press or whatever, I definitely check it out. But yeah, that's it's been that and the Mass Effect multiplayer.
Awesome. I played some of that before, but I'll talk about that another day. Kazu, what you been up to?
Oh man, well, just a lot of work, really, like lately, and Mass Effect. Besides, just a little bit about Mass Effect. I just recently did the Cure the Genophage mission, and it was like really emotional.
Nice.
And besides that, just see here, work. Watching some of the new like winter 2012 anime that's just recently come out.
Oh, have they been released already, or?
Well, there's some that started airing like in January, and then there's a few they like waited to release till the end of February. But they're gearing up for the spring season right now. So.
Right.
So I've just been watching some the High School DxD.
Ah, yeah, I'm enjoying that too. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty. The opening and the ending are interesting.
Yes, very.
Quality animation, but
yeah.
But yeah, besides that, I recently got my hands on Neptunia MK2.
Nice.
It came out in the end of February, and just working on the new site design for Runaround Network. Seems like it's never all the way done, but I've had a lot of technical problems over the last year. Plus, last year I spent collecting mostly like just information and things I would need for this year. And I was supposed to launch in early January, and late December was first, and then I was a little bit behind because I'm like one guy working on this huge project. And January around the Takoname time, I was going to do that as well, but I just had to scrap the entire thing just the other day because I had a huge thing I found out is that there's no Firefox support for my site. I had no idea because I do all my work on Chrome, and I had no idea. And I always test on different browsers, but it's just something I overlooked. So luckily I've got a backup, and I'm going to change some of the code, and I'll be like backup probably in April. I'm looking at a mid-April release because there's like nothing else left that I have to work out, and then I'm going to be doing that, and yeah, so be back to actually doing like written reviews again too.
Be cool if you were to do if you release if you launch your website in April, do it on April 1st.
Yeah, that's funny. I could do like April 1st, and then not really make it available. And then, like,
yeah.
like the next day.
Have have like some
that's
flash on the
awesome.
screen, just like it's not done yet, or like
That would be messed up too, because I've got a lot of people that keep messaging me like when it's going to be back up. So I've got partners and readers that are both like wanting to know. So that would be pretty bad.
yeah,
funny too.
That would be so awesome though. It'd be such a big troll.
Or I could do what I did another year. Actually, another year I actually have an April Fool's joke with my site that I do every year. Last year was I announced that I was teaming up with this other like famous blogger that and people were like, "Oh my god, like really?" And I was like, next day I was like, "No, sorry." Yeah. But I don't know. I haven't thought about my plan this year. That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But aside from work and Mass Effect and Neptunia, just working on leveling up my Colonel on Battlefield 3.
Nice. Awesomeness.
But yeah.
Yeah. Best of luck for you and your website whenever it gets completed.
Yeah, we got a lot of content we're gonna release. We've essentially been building up stuff since the end of 2010, just content wise, background interviews and video coverage, and just like just about every Northern California convention that's happened in the last 2 years.
Nice.
Gonna be coming out with just at once. It's a little bit late, but I'm not marketing it as being like, here's what happened 2 years ago. It's like it's kind of like here's some really great photos and videos that you guys might want to like check out, and then in the meantime, I'm going to be posting like current stuff too.
Right.
So it's just a way for me to catch up on my coverage and show people, hey, here's what happened at this. But a lot of it, the way that I do it is kind of in a way where it's not going to be like boring. It's like I've got some really really good stuff, like behind the scenes stuff too. So. Which is another thing I really want to like write about as well on the news site is kind of like what happens behind the scenes at conventions.
Right.
So a lot of people don't know, and there's a lot of people that wondered before I started doing this. I was really curious myself.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Sweetness, dude. Yeah, like we all have that curiosity as far as like what goes behind anime convention scene, and kind of like, you know, because we always are the ones to be going around like having fun, buying whatever crap we can find in a dealer's hall, and or like just kind of going off and hanging out with friends. But yeah, like it is a cool aspect to see that different type of view that not many people would like to see. Sam, how have you been doing, my East Coast friend?
I've been doing pretty good. I haven't exactly been playing video games of late, but I started spring break back on Friday, so I've really been just kind of lazy this whole week. So just like kind of sitting around in anime club in school. We've been watching Across Frontier and the Penguinundrum
yes.
anime.
Yeah.
And so when we went on break, I was like, so I went ahead and just started watching them on my own this spring break since I had the time, and I'm going to go back and not like just sit there and anime club and go like, yeah, so I've seen this. I think I might go do something else.
I love those days where you could just veg out in front of the computer and watch anime all day. Yeah. That's awesome, dude.
Yep.
What else, like on a spring break, what else are you planning to do?
Well, last week we had like the weirdest weather. Monday we had like a few inches of snow followed by a few days of like 70-degree weather. So I'm glad my spring break wasn't last week, because this week we have like 80-degree weather every day. So I've just been like also going outside a lot and stuff, kind of enjoying the weather. Mostly since I'm in school all day during the day or work, so I was just glad to at least enjoy going outside and, you know, taking some photos and stuff. Especially with the we have a park downtown and they have some sakura blossoms, so I just kind of go down there and take some photos and meet up with some people.
That's nice.
So
that's awesome.
That's pretty much what I've been doing the past few days,
Nice.
just kind of chilling.
That's pretty cool. It's been, yeah. The weird thing is like over here in at least Northern California, it just started raining just like for the past week,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, we've had like a good amount of sun for a good while, and then we finally got rain this week. So, yeah, it's been weather's been weird like that. As far as for me, what I've been up to, well, let's see. I won't talk about much, but I will say though, I did get Mass Effect 3. I've yet to play it because I'm waiting on playing a few other DLCs. But my time has been taken up with Street Fighter X Tekken, and that game is pretty awesome. Even though there's been like glitch galore, people have been finding
really?
in the game. Yeah. I mean, I mean, like the thing is though, right now people are finding out about some infinite that some characters can do, which are not very hard to do, or like they'll find like glitches where like, say Jin can like, he can like do his overhead move into this like special move he can do where he can like put one of his like fireballs out, and then like if he does that in the air, the body will just like for some odd reason float and spin in the air upwards to
Weird.
space. Yeah.
I like the one that I saw watched online of the Mega Man jump glitch or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been a lot of fun of it. It's just funny how people are finding infinites and all this other shit. You know, and it's bound to happen with every other new fighting game that comes out. And it's just like, you know, Capcom puts out a game that's not even finished yet. Anyways, but I've been playing that a lot. I've also been watching some anime. Like you, Kazu, I've been watching High School DxD and
Awesome.
really enjoying that anime. For its yes, fan service, but also like for its other qualities.
Its designs inspired by nature.
Exactly. Pure natural nature. That and what else? Oh, and I'll just throw this out there just because I got accepted the other day. I got accepted to Hayward the other day. So
Nice, congrats.
thank you. So
What is that?
East Bay College Hayward.
Nice.
Yes.
It's a congratulatory situation.
Yes, it is. And I'm excited to go. You know, and I'm one step closer to working in the video game industry. So
Nice.
yeah, it's pretty awesome times. But yeah, like it's what I've been up to in a short kind of sum up version. But anyways, all right. So we're going to take a short break, and then after this, we will discuss the DLC debacle in recent games. We'll talk about the whole Mass Effect 3 Day 1 DLC, and Street Fighter X Tekken DLC that people have been scratching their heads as far as like why people are upset about the whole entire situation. So, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. This is Anthony Bionis from the Mission Start Podcast. And if you enjoy listening to this podcast, as well as our other ones on our website, you can now hear us on Stitcher. You can now hear our show as well on the go with Stitcher Smart Radio, on-demand news, talk, and more on your mobile phone. The latest episodes always available for you, no syncing needed, and no money or storage wasted. Available on your iPhone, iPad, Android phones, and beyond. Downloading is easy. Go to Stitcher.com or check out your app store. Stitcher, Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio. Hello, everybody. We are back. Me and the rest of the crew have our waters. We're back in our seats. And now we are going to discuss a topic that people lately been having a gripe over, which I don't believe is a big deal, but to some people it is. So, for the past week or two, there have been games that people have started to realize that the DLC is already on the disc. And they are upset that they are buying a full price game, yet if they want to get that DLC, they have to pay extra or like pay, you know, whatever it is to unlock the DLC. You're paying basically for a code to unlock it. And people are having many gripes about it. Examples are the Mass Effect 3 Day 1 DLC, which people have ups and arms about because Mass Effect 3 is already a big enough game, and gamers feel obligated that, you know, why should I pay extra when it's already on the disc? And likewise, with the game I've been playing, Street Fighter X Tekken, where recently it's been revealed that the 20 characters that were going to be revealed or unlocked this fall, along with the PC version of Street Fighter X Tekken, has discovered that like all the characters already are on the disc, and people have found ways to hack into the game and then unlock them, but not payable through Xbox Live or anything, but able to play them through some hacking terms to play, and it's become something to where gamers and fans are starting to realize, like, these game companies are really starting to put these, like, have, you know, other game companies been doing this, like for DLC, has the content already been on there, and all we're doing is paying for a code to unlock it. So I'll throw it on to you guys. What do you guys think of this whole DLC debacle that people are starting to realize?
Honestly, in my opinion on the whole situation. It's a situation where you don't have to buy the DLC. It's not obligatory. Like, it's not like all of a sudden the game comes out and they're like, you don't get any endings or you don't get any ending to the game unless you buy this DLC. They're not doing that. What they're doing is they're saying, like, okay, the day one DLC is for Mass Effect was an extra mission, an extra character, and then some different outfits for your single player characters. That's it. That's all it is. Yes, the character is a Prothean, which is supposed to be extinct race from the Mass Effect series anyway. It's not that big of a thing. She's not, he or she, whatever the hell it is not part of is not part of the story. She's not. I think it's a she. I'm gonna keep saying she. So whoever wants to correct me, go ahead. But it's not necessary to download it to play the game. It doesn't matter if you have it or not. Already in Mass Effect, there are a gazillion things that you do in that game that have nothing to do with the storyline. Please, Shepard, go to my planet and find this, or go to this planet and find a artifact for me. You realize that the Reapers are on Earth and that I'm trying to play diplomat with other things to get troops to come with me back to Earth, right? I don't have time to get your fucking artifact. Like, that's already ridiculous in an amazing game. And for people to not recognize that and then get mad about the DLC is downright stupid. If you're going to complain about anything in a game, complain about things that don't really fit into, like, certain story elements that make sense to me. So now the whole controversy about it being on disc. So the fuck what? You do realize that by putting it on the disc, that means that it's less time for you to have to download it to get to playing the game. Because chances are, if you download the item, it's probably going to be close to a gig, and a gig takes a little bit to download. So just it doesn't make any sense to me to complain about it. The whole thing with Street Fighter X Tekken, okay, it's a fighting game. If you're looking for story in a fighting game, then you're playing fighting games for the wrong reason.
I don't think people are really complaining about the story in Street Fighter X Tekken, although I have seen the cutscenes on YouTube. It's pretty hilarious. But they're more concerned, at least from my point of view, also because I'm kind of part of the fighting game community, is that there are certain characters that are in the DLC that we really love to play, and we feel cheated because, like, we bought this game that already has the characters already on it, and all we're doing is paying extra to get to unlock those characters.
Paying extra to get something in a game is nothing new. I mean,
I know.
That's something I think a lot of people are completely forgetting, is that, and I'm not even talking about with this generation of consoles. There's been, like, PC has been doing it for, I don't even want to know how long. Where, like, you buy the game, it's 3 discs, and you have, like, everything is on the disc, but then down the road you have to pay a little bit extra to unlock the content. And the people I think that are really complaining about it are the console gamers.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are really making a huge stink over it because they're new to this. They're experiencing it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing, is that the people that you're gonna hear about complain about it are the people who are pissed off about it. You're not gonna hear anybody that's like, I'm okay with it, like, say anything about it, because they don't care. It's not important to them to complain about it. You know, like, I understand that games are expensive. $60 for a game is not cheap. So to have to pay extra down the road is something that would not be exactly palpable. But to sit there and say that I'm boycotting the game, or I'm not going to play it because there's DLC that's coming out of characters that I want to play, you're not only taking away the entertainment from yourself, but you're also taking food off the table of the family that made the game.
Right.
With so many people and the technology being so high nowadays, they almost have to do this. They almost have, like, they have to release DLC that is high in price, or they have to release DLC that's already on the disc just to make games more expensive, so that way they can pay all the employees. This is why companies are going out of business left and fucking right, because it costs so much to make a game nowadays. I mean, if you look at a movie that's literally like all no-name actors, and it's a CGI movie. That movie costs a lot of money to make just because it costs that much to run those kind of computers.
True.
So it's and to pay the the animators and all that stuff. So when you look at it like that and you go, okay, the DLC is only $10, and I already bought the $60 game. When I get money, in a month or so, I'll download the DLC then. And really, you spent $60 here and then $10 there. And if you were smart about it, you pre-ordered the game and paid it over the course of a few months instead of like waiting till the game came out.
Right. And I hear what you're saying. I definitely do, and I see both sides to it because like I understand like through a developer standpoint, if you put the content already on the disc, you don't have to worry about making that content later on so you can release it because. An example of this is like remember when Valve announced like Half-Life 2 is gonna have episodic games. It's gonna have episodes for the iterations for Half-Life 2 series. And even though episode 1, episode 2 did came out, it took them a long time for both games to come out. When the episodic gaming idea was like it was going to be short, it was going to be out quick, it's going to be multiple times, we'll have the same Half-Life 2 experience, but it didn't come out as people thought. I will say like both episodes were fun, they were awesome, but that was kind of the idea of what they had. And in comparison to this, for a developer's mind, it's a no-brainer to do that on disc. Not to say that it's a no-brainer. I mean, I can't really say, people are up in arms about this because, it's just recently that I found out. No, it's just the fact that, one, that these games that the people are crying about is that the fact that they're big title games. They're from big companies, Capcom and BioWare. If it was a game that nobody knew about and DLC was on the disc already, and there was DLC like on day one, people wouldn't gripe about it at all. At least in my opinion. Kazu, what do you think? What do you think about this?
Oh man, I've got a lot to say about this actually. I've been talking about this like with other people for like a week now. As far as like Street Fighter Tekken goes, that's messed up.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty messed up to put that many characters like that. It's already on the disc, and then you're just paying for a code to unlock that when you really physically already have it. Except for people will use third-party tools to try and unlock them and stuff, but it's like. And like you said, I can see it from a developer standpoint too. It's like, maybe it's less for you to download or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's actually really, I think that's messed up.
Yeah. And to jump in real quick, sorry to interrupt you, Kazu, but
no problem.
Just to add on to the whole Street Fighter X Tekken thing, like the thing that I see that people are griping about, and it's not much less that they can't use the characters, all of them on day one. It's more for people who played a lot of Street Fighter or a lot of Tekken, and they're tournament players, and that's the character they mained in the previous games. If a character that is in the next game, that was weird.
Sorry, guys.
That was weird. No, it's cool. When a character that somebody has been playing for a long time is not in this version of the game, that would would really be cool if it was in it, and then later on announced, like it kind of hits them the wrong way, like
True.
Yeah, it's like my brother, he plays Sakura in Street Fighter, and he mains her like in Street Fighter 4. And then when he realized, like, that the DLC is already on the disc, and like his character is is in the game, like he can't use her until this fall,
because she wound up a DLC character.
Yeah, because that really puts him behind the ball and has to learn another character. So
I'm sorry, which game were you referring to?
Street Fighter X Tekken.
You're still talking about Street Fighter X Tekken. Okay, I thought you were talking about another game.
No, I'll just throw this quickly right out there. So just a add on. But Kazu, continue what you were talking about.
So about the Mass Effect 3 part of things, there's been a lot of stuff going on with the From Ashes DLC, because the the way that I look at it first, as far as being day one, not the fact that about it's whether it's on the disc or not, but the day one part of it, I think that back in 2011, BioWare was saying, like it was like November, I think it was November. They were already finishing up Mass Effect 3, and they were putting in all the final good stuff and finishing it up and everything. And if the community really was pushing the multiplayer thing, and especially since they went and mentioned that they were going to do that, like in early 2011, and I think that they focus so much on adding the multiplayer in at the last second. If you just think about it for a second, if the multiplayer didn't come out, the game would have probably been released alongside all the other hits that came out at the end of last year, and the DLC would have been happening 3 months later, like a normal game.
Absolutely, and that's something that actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because the developer, he had an interview recently, and he addressed the whole endings thing and whatnot, but they also addressed the day one DLC, and one of the biggest things that he was expressing was that the game was set for release in November 2011.
Yes,
it then got pushed back to March because they said that they were finishing up some stuff. Now, also BioWare fought EA on something too that people don't realize, and that's the whole thing about the day one DLC wasn't originally supposed to be day one DLC. It was supposed to be pre-order exclusive DLC, and then down the road, like a couple months later, come out for everybody else. And BioWare said, no, fuck that. We don't want to limit our fans from buying something unless they pre-order the other one. That's bullshit. So that's why it became day one DLC, was because BioWare fought it to be day one DLC. And so in that regard, I mean, people, and that's a whole nother thing that irritates me too, is like people don't want to read in that stuff. They don't want to see that kind of stuff. They're too angry to actually like look at the logistics of it. So,
right, definitely.
Well, speaking of like the logistics too, I know it's like a lot of fans, like we were talking earlier, they'll get really upset over things that they want, like the ending wasn't what they expected and things like that. But when it comes to like the day one DLC, there was that other controversy that got started about all the stuff being on the disc or not. And just like 2 days ago, I don't know if you guys seen this, but EA made a statement that it's actually not on the disc.
Really?
Yeah. That the frame, just a tiny bit of framework and one character model of Javik is on the disc, but there's 600 megabytes, which is the Eden Prime mission, the dialogue options, the cinematics, and the Prothean weapon that you get are all not on disc.
Interesting.
Right. So they're trying to defend themselves now.
Interesting.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that because I read about that too.
They actually did the same thing with Zaid and Kasumi in Mass Effect 2.
Right. And to degree is like, here's like, you can go in many directions, but like when Mass Effect 2 came out, I was fortunate enough to get Zaid and I also get Kasumi too, but as BioWare said, you don't have to have the DLC characters to complete your story. You don't have to have them in there. They're just there for extra, bonus content. Like, they're there to have, more Mass Effect 2 experiences you can get. It doesn't affect how you play your game. It doesn't affect how your crewmates see you or how you, affect the crewmates. The game itself is done. It's just...
and any of the Mass Effects, having a specific character has no reflection on how you play the game, because A, they're just there for dialogue.
Right.
B, probably can't have a relationship with Javik. C, it's probably he or she is a character that you just bring with you on a mission as a side character. And that's another thing. The characters, whoever you choose to bring with you in a mission, like, unless it's for like some kind of small dialogue block, there is no like real connection. Like, for example, in Mass Effect 3, and I'll just real quick, I would bring Garrus with me almost every mission, and the third person was usually switched between Ashley and Liara. Now, the only reason I mention this is because my little brother who played the game, we were talking about the mission where you meet up with Jacob. And because Liara wouldn't really know Jacob, I mean, in a brief interaction with either the DLC or the mission that actually happens in the game, she wouldn't really know Jacob. But Garrus would know Jacob. He would know Jacob very well. So if you bring Garrus with you on that mission, there's a tiny bit of dialogue between them. Where if you didn't, you wouldn't hear that dialogue.
Definitely.
So,
that's
that's
true.
not,
Yeah.
but that's not important to the story. That's not in part. I mean, like it might be, small character development for you as a player, but it's not making or breaking the game.
I think it's cool though.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic.
I love
think
it.
it's genius that they did that.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, Greg.
I was gonna say, but the point is that because the point that I'm getting at with that is that if you didn't bring Garrus with you, you're still doing the same mission and you're meeting up with Jacob. So that's all still there. It's just that little and so with Javik, if you were to bring Javik on that mission and not Garrus, I mean, I don't think that the dialogue would really change. And personally, I'm just throwing this out here, and all the Mass Effect fans can tear me apart if they want, but bringing a Prothean with you on missions as like a standard character might throw off everybody else, considering that they're fucking extinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. It would. Oh man, yeah, it would. Sam, since you kind of said before, like you haven't been playing games as much, as an outsider kind of listening to all of this, what's your initial thought on all of this?
Well, yeah, I also took the time just to read up on some of it, and yeah, I can see, I guess, like a lot of the stuff we're talking about, like the really hardcore fan base are the ones that are extremely concerned about it, and like the people who are like, oh, okay, are just kind of like you don't hear about them, like y'all were saying. But yeah, I mean, I guess I can see where people would be annoyed knowing that, some of the content, like with somebody like with the character like the one in Mass Effect 3, like that would have a significant role with the whole entire the world of Mass Effect 3 and Mass Effect series, that you'd have to unlock or pay to have, when you could, it just would be part of the actual game instead. And a lot of people complain about with just it being a first day release, or like, yeah, the same day release with the game. But I was also reading like how the developers were talking about it's just easier to, work on it at the same time as they work on the game. I mean, it saves them money, and it probably, it saves all that extra time, because nobody wants to release a way later down the road downloadable content where people just kind of moved off on the game,
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, it's not like a game you would constantly be playing, like Skyrim. I know you can constantly be playing that, or like fighting games. People would be playing that for a long time, but just
Well, you mentioned the whole thing about them like doing that down the road kind of thing. That was the big problem with the DLC for Mass Effect 2, is that it didn't sell that much at all because it came out so much later after the game was released.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So people can but people will be coming back to Mass Effect 3 constantly because there's a multiplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that probably helps them a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it's just easier, if they do release it earlier, but in this case was like the same day, but but I can see people being annoyed because it is an it's kind of expensive game, but if you pay it off over time, it's not but so bad. And same thing with the Street Fighter and Tekken. I would be annoyed not getting some of those characters, especially like you were saying, if there's a character you're really good at and then you don't get it until way later down the road, I could see it being really annoying with everybody else playing the game already with their characters, and you're like, oh, I just want to. So, I mean, I
think that idea is a little weird to me, only because when I go to play like a fighter, for example, I don't ever go like, oh, in this other fighting game I played as this character, and that character's supposed to be in this fighting game, so I'll probably be really, really good with that. I mean, take Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or 3, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I love Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Oh,
One of the best fighting games
that's
ever been released.
Played the shit out of it back then.
Yeah, I probably broke the disc on my Dreamcast. But when 3 came out, I never once said to myself, why isn't this character from this game in this game? Because from 2 to 3, because I'm really good with that character in 2. In my mind, I went, it's a completely new game, new concept, new, controls and stuff. So I never will go into a fighting game going like, I want this character from that game because I'm really good with that character.
Right.
So for people to be doing that is a little ridiculous to me for Street Fighter versus Tekken. Because if you're good with a character in Tekken, that's ridiculous because the game's not like Tekken at all.
That's true.
And if you're good with a character, with a character from Street Fighter, it's very similar to Street Fighter 4. So you're gonna probably have that, like, you're gonna want to play with that character. But if that character's not there, I'm sure you're good with other characters, that you can get good with other characters.
That's a good point. I mean, like, yeah, you're right, because like Street Fighter X Tekken is not like Street Fighter 4, and it's not like Tekken. It's a completely different game, and it's meshing between Street Fighter and Marvel into this game. So I can really get you on that. Quickly though, on Marvel's Capcom 3's case, I think that the reason why people weren't, well, take that back. I think they were griping on some elements of the game, but I think why so many people were not griping on it when the game came out or was announced is because we have not seen a sequel to Marvel's Capcom in such a long time. Was it 10 years when 2 came out? So when 3 was announced, people didn't care if it was, whatever their character wasn't in the game or not. They were just excited to have the Marvel's Capcom 3 game.
I heard a lot of people pissed off that like Mega Man wasn't in it.
Oh well, that was the obvious. That was the obvious shit that were like crying about. They were talking about all sorts of shit. Like X Factor was the one thing that people were crying about because they were like,
my God, yeah,
they were like, it's a fucking bullshit move. This shit's for noobs, man. This is the reason why they were all hating it, because like they were in their minds thinking like a scrub player can beat out like a pro player. Like
on that on that note, with the whole like X Factor and it being for noobs, there's always going to be something in a multiplayer game that is for noobs. For example, there's a reason that the grenade launcher in the Call of Duty series is called the Noob Tube.
Yeah.
It's because people think that it doesn't take any skill.
That's true.
I can't get kills with it like that. I'm not good with that particular weapon. So like when people say that, I'm like, I don't know how the fuck they're doing that. There's in Battlefield 3, there's the USAS 12 is a particular shotgun that has a 12-round clip and it fires off very quickly.
Just
11.
Mine.
It's an amazing gun.
Oh yeah.
But the last type of ammo you get for it are frag rounds for it, which explode upon impact. And the thing is that when you aim at somebody and you fire off 6 rounds, they're dead, and it fires off boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
So they don't really have a chance to fire back. But here's the thing. I get killed constantly by other people who are not using that gun. That gun takes some skill to use. You can't just start using. When I first got that gun, when I first got that gun, I wasn't good with it. I had to get good with it. Yeah, granted, it probably didn't take me as long as other guns, but it's not. You can't just sit there and say that something in a game is for noobs when the developers put it in for everybody.
That's true. That's very true.
In Halo Reach, for example, the armor lock, people were pissed off about that because, it's a noob thing. You're invincible for a period. The person is immobile.
Yeah.
They cannot move. You wait for them to come out of it.
So many times.
Yeah.
When I've used that.
I had a friend who was complaining about it, and so me and another friend were like telling him, like, look, if you're having trouble fighting against it, use the item, learn how to use it, and then use it against people that are using it against you.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. You learn how to defeat it, and then you can be good at not getting killed by it.
Right.
So it's little things like that drive me insane in games when people are, it's for noobs.
Right.
I got on a really weird tangent for a second.
No, it's cool.
At first glance, it seems that way.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I understand, Greg. Like it's partly my fault to get on this tangent, but just to quickly end this wild tangent. If a developer has put something in a game where people can use, and to choose to exploit it, then that's not their fault for choosing that weapon. It's just the fact that the developer put it in there so he can use it. So it doesn't matter how the player plays the game. It's how he uses it. So right. I'll end it there, and to bring it back. So about this DLC debacle. Now here's something that I think I'll be devil's advocate because like this has came up before. When Batman Arkham City came out, people loved the game. The game was awesome. I'm one of the few that still yet to play it because my computer crashed.
Yeah, I haven't played it either.
The thing though is like for people was that people like today were upset that the Catwoman DLC that came with Batman Arkham City was actually pretty crucial to the story, or somewhat crucial to the story.
No, it wasn't.
Are you sure? I've been hearing a lot when that shit was happening.
I have a friend who bought the game, and we were playing I was helping him with puzzles and stuff while he was playing because I'm absolutely terrible at the game. And one of the big things that happened in the game was he had the Catwoman DLC. So we saw all the stuff that was happening in the game that had to do with the Catwoman DLC. And then when I talked to my brother recently about playing it, he didn't have the Catwoman DLC. So I asked him certain, elements that happened in the game that had to do with, like, when we took control of Catwoman where he didn't, like what happened in the story. It didn't matter. He got everything that happened in the story. He understood everything that happened in the story. He just didn't get those extra bits.
I see. So
it was sorry.
No, that's cool. So it wasn't a crucial thing that was needed in the game. It could be something extra.
It was like as if you read a comic and you know about this character that kind of does something on the side, and it doesn't really affect the main character's storyline, but the character keeps running into that character, and then all of a sudden, like years down the road, the comic book writer comes out with a separate small series that tells what happened with that character. That's what the Catwoman DLC is.
Okay, gotcha. I wasn't quite sure on that. Okay. Well.
So like people bitching that it was like crucial to the storyline need to shut up because
yeah. Kazu, like you've like you said, played Mass Effect 3 and agreed with me and I think everybody else here about the whole DLC debacle. Given that the developers had time to think about this over, if you were in the position of the developer and say you had the choice of putting the content on the disc right now or putting it out later for people to download, because before my gut is like developers have been doing this for years, and I think it's because the amount of bandwidth and time for people to actually download the DLC back in the early days of Xbox 360s were just too big, or like the amount of time like to download depending on your internet speed would depend on how long it would take for you to download. Really varied. So I'm gonna put you the developer of BioWare.
Okay.
So what is your decision making as far as like when it comes to DLC?
Well, at first I was thinking that, well, because it's such a big deal to everyone when they find out that there's something on the disc. At first I was thinking just leave it alone and just do it later, like have the whole DLC on there for later. But then I was thinking, like you said, the bandwidth and everything. It's 2012. It's like, come on, people should be able to download, a gig if they need to. It's not like, I mean, people do that with music. People download people torrent
That's
movies
true.
and stuff
That's
too.
true.
It's like I probably. Putting just enough, like I said earlier, the framework and the character model for Javik on the disc, and then doing the other 600 megabytes over Xbox Live. I think that's pretty fair. I mean, I would have probably done the same thing they did, but I don't think the same day thing really made a lot of people happy, because the statistics are showing that 40% did actually end up buying it with the game, but then there's a whole 60 that were really turned off by it. And,
what's really funny about these guys is and I hate to interrupt, but
that's okay.
You kind of hit a point that reminded me of something. We wouldn't be having this conversation if all this DLC was free.
Yeah,
That's true.
that is true. That is so true.
It all comes down to money.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
So, sorry, yeah, you mentioned something about like when it comes out and how much it costs and stuff like that, and I went, that's makes a very valid point, because nobody would be bitching, nobody would be conversating about it if if it were.
Yeah,
That is
and
very
they
true.
could have saved it. They could have saved it too for later. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I played Mass Effect 2 multiple times. So it the very first time I played it, I didn't have any of the DLC except for like the Cerberus Network stuff and Zaid, but
Mhm.
I didn't have any of the DLC. And then on my second playthrough, I was like, okay, this time I feel, it's been a few months. This time I feel like playing with everything now that everything's out. And there we go. I did it on
Um,
all the DLC. So the Protean thing, it could have been saved, but I don't know.
one
It
thing
didn't bother me a bit.
I do have a question for you guys about the DLC thing. That there's something else that like EA and Ubisoft are doing that I'm expecting Activision to be doing here soon, and I want to see if you guys kind of feel the same way I do about it. Um, what they're doing is they're pushing. Let's see, they're pushing the idea that you have to purchase their game to play it online. That you can't just rent it.
Oh, yeah.
So for example, like I don't like people don't have a
Online
whole lot of money.
passes.
Yes, the online pass.
Okay, I gotcha.
I think that's a hell of a worse way to sell a game or to get people to want to buy a game
Exactly.
than
Yeah.
to come out with day one DLC.
Well, yeah, look at GameFly. I GameFlyed Battlefield 3 first before I bought it, and I couldn't play online because I didn't have the case with the little code thingy.
Mm.
Yeah,
So,
so
that,
I mean,
that made me really mad. I mean, later on, I got an email from GameFly saying, hey, EA has sent us like 2,000 codes, and you get one. And I'm like, well, I already shipped it back to you guys. Because all I could
Right.
play was the story.
Right.
well, like
So I feel you on that.
yeah, because I rented it and I still have it rented, and I just bought the online pass because I was like, I don't like the single player. I think it's shit.
Yeah.
And if I have, yeah, it's terrible.
Me too. It's pretty bad.
And so in that regard, like if I'm going to play an multiplayer for for however long, and I have a month pass, like if there's another game that I want to rent, I won't have Battlefield for like a day or two. Not a big deal. But I'm always like, well, if I have this Blockbuster pass, I'm always gonna have a game with them, so it might as well be Battlefield, and I'll just get the online pass, and then that way I'm not really buying the game.
Hey, which
I'm not-
console do you have Battlefield 3 for? Or did you rent it for?
The 360.
Yeah, because I've got an extra online passcode.
Nice.
Well, I already bought the online pass.
Oh,
so.
darn it. Sorry.
No, I bought it like right after the game came out because.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I just basically told GameFly, I was like, I didn't tell them, but I told them, like, like here at my desk, I was like looking at the email, and I'm like, oh, I already shipped it back to you guys. Well, fine, I'm just going to give my pass out to somebody then.
The thing that frustrates me about that the most is that if you're gonna try to sell a game to somebody and the person's little iffy on the fence about buying it or not, why take out a crucial element that's gonna make people want to own it?
Very
Why
true.
would you, like they were
Especially
starting to
with
do
a
this
game
thing,
like that.
right? They were starting to do this thing. They were like, you get 5 hours with it. You get 5 hours and then that's your cutoff, or you hit a certain level and then you're cut off.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's okay to a certain point, but you're still taking away that whole part of the game that people like. If I want to buy Battlefield 3 because, sorry about all that noise, guys.
No, it's all right.
About the if I want to buy Battlefield 3 because I want to play it for a long time and not have to worry about keep renting it, then allow me to play the multiplayer. And
especially with a game like that.
Right, like
It's made for multiplayer.
Activision fans were basically like, haha, Battlefield fans, we got it for free, and you didn't, and you had to actually purchase the game, and
And the whole reason why this these passes you have to pay to play these games online is that all this is because it's over the concern of piracy, and that was the main concern with EA especially, is that because they felt that, and it's true, that people out there were pirating their games to the consoles or to the PCs, and they needed to do something to stop it or somehow weed out like the people who are hacking or filtering. It's understandable. I can understand why they went this way, but at the same time, you're punishing everybody. You're punishing not only the main people you're going after, but you're punishing the people who are buying your games in the first place, who want to play. If say like, and say like I went to GameStop, I bought a used copy of Battlefield 3 because at the time I don't have the money to buy a fresh new copy. games are expensive nowadays, so I had to get a pre-used one. So then I go home, I plug the game in, I'm ready to play multiplayer, and I find out that I need to have a code or money to buy the extra online pass to play online, which is BS because like for Xbox Live people, they're already paying already a monthly or yearly subscription, however you pay for your Xbox Live to play games online. And then on top of that, I have to pay more to play this game on top of what I just put money down to pay. It's ridiculous. Like it's something that should happen, but because of the whole piracy type of thing, people are really paranoid about the whole thing, and they are trying to find ways to stop it in the most like not helpful ways.
Well, on that note about the whole piracy thing, and this is something that Gabe Newell addressed a long time ago. If you're going to be scared of piracy, then you're probably going to take precautions to it that are going to piss off your fans.
Exactly.
A lot of the time that the problem with piracy, or the problem with fear of piracy, is that they honestly think it is taking a shit ton of money away from them. If a million people buy it, like if a million people go and see a movie in the theater, but there's only like 100,000 that downloaded it, that's a tiny percentage of money that you're losing. That's really not that much.
Yeah.
You're still getting a fuck ton of money off of that. So it's a ridiculous idea to sit there and try to completely stifle piracy when, in all honesty, piracy is actually a good thing, especially overseas. Piracy is an amazing thing overseas. The example that I always give about like piracy can be a good thing is what happened with X-Men Origins Wolverine. That was released, or that was leaked online way early, and it actually made more money than the studio was expecting. They were really worried that they were going to make no money in the theater, and so they released it actually a little bit earlier than they said they were going to, or something to that effect, and we're just basically waiting for the shitstorm. And it turned out that people wanted to see the completed version, and they made a fuck ton of money in the theater.
Wow.
Because of it. So
Interesting. Very interesting.
Trent Reznor, he keeps releasing all of the new albums that he does for free
That's
online.
true. That's very true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
He actually came out and said, I've made more money off of doing this than I've ever made being an artist ever.
That is true. That is completely. You're totally right. Because who wasn't it? I'm trying to remember. Was it? Crap. Who was it? Maybe Trent Reznor. But I do remember a story where some band in the bathroom in a concert left a USB drive in the bathroom, and somebody picked it up, and there was like the full album of that band, and that was on purpose. I think I want to say System of a Down, but I don't remember if it wasn't. There was some big name rock band that did that, and that was ingenious. It got him more sales, but also spread the word about the music they were doing. It was great. Sam, I know you've been awfully quiet this entire conversation and listeners to our witty banters, but so I'm just curious as far as like the entire time that we're talking about DLC, piracy, and all this other stuff. In your gut reaction, because I was trying to bait you earlier. In your gut reaction to the whole DLC, what is your gut telling you about it? Like you read up on. You heard us talk about it, and you read the information on the internet as far as like what people are upset about. What's your gut telling you about what's your real opinion on all this?
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like an in-between kind of thing. I mean, I can see why they would, release it now and why some people would be mad. But, I mean, if you really, really like the game, save up and download it at some later time because it gives you something to play later on when you don't have anything to do. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's kind of like on the fence about.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear you. And I will bring up the other point that Greg brought up with the DLC is that people would not be talking about this if it was free. AKA example, when TF2 came out, all of their stuff up to this point, except for maybe like the boxes you collect sometimes, you can unlock those with money, all the DLC has been free, and people have been loving Valve for that. I
A
mean,
quick example that I want to give you guys a prediction, if you will.
go ahead.
Battlefield 3 is supposed to be coming out with DLC here soon with
Yep.
3 different map packs through the course of the rest of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't heard whether they're free or not. Everything that I've read, I've heard nothing about if they're free or not. For
Well,
people,
it is Activision, so I'm pretty sure that's
it's EA. EA's Battlefield. EA's Battlefield.
Yeah. Oh, right. It's my bad.
Well, here's the thing: is that the Back to Karkin pack was free for people who bought the game and have the downloadable or the online pass.
For the limited edition.
If people have to buy it, like my friends who basically bought the $60 version and have the online pass, who got the Back to Karkin pack for free, if they have to purchase it, wait for the shitstorm. If it's free, you're not going to hear a damn thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Man, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So, to kind
You were
of.
asking Sam about something.
Oh no. My conversation with Sam was done, but to end this whole discussion, like you said, Greg, what as far as like because I like to point out that I believe that developers have been doing this for years, and I think it's just now a point where gamers are starting to realize like the content's already on the disc, and that it's a thing that developers do or they don't do. It's for convenience sake.
I think putting code on a disc to make the full download a lot easier or to go a lot smoother is something that all developers should do.
Yes.
It allows to make their job much fucking easier. And it allows gamers to get that content and not have to wait forever and a day to download it or have to basically download a giant file that takes up their hard drive space.
Definitely. Like, do you know how much hard drives, like, given enough, like, the hard drives we give on 360s are not enough to hold all of our games, whatever movies are on there, whatever songs that we have it on there, on top of downloading DLC. Like, there's so much space we have to work with the given the hard drives we got. So it's good. Yes, I agree. Developers should do this. And the people
people just want something to bitch about.
Definitely.
And the people that are pissed off and bitching are way louder than the people that are happy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's always how it'll always be. And so I think that's the big thing here is that ultimately at the end of the day, the complainers are the ones that we're going to be hearing about, the ones that are going to get the coverage, the ones that are going to get a lot of the press time because they're the ones that are pissed off.
Yeah, that's true.
We are not. Like, I can't count for you guys. I'm assuming you guys aren't that pissed off.
Oh no, I'm cool.
I'm actually really fine with it. Either way, whether they put it on disc or whether they release it later, it's like I really don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We had a discussion about DLC a long time ago on the Overtime, and we had come to the conclusion that DLC is ultimately a good thing as long as it's done correctly. I think with like the biggest thing with Mass Effect 3's DLC is that it was day one. I think that if the full game was released in November and then this DLC was released in March, we wouldn't hurt a damn thing. I think that it's not the price. It's not the $10 price tag that's got people pissed off. It's literally the fact that it's day one and that they feel like they got cheapened out on money. It's like, no, if the game was released in March or in November, we would have got it in March. So people just don't want to put that kind of thought behind it. And then anger always takes a stronger head than rational thought.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I mean, you guys have seen that with the whole 99% thing or the Occupy whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
Angry thought way takes over rational thought. And nobody wants to actually sit down and think about things. They just rather react.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, and again, I'm going to sound offensive, but I'm not trying to be. Action without thought is downright idiotic. And so a lot of these people who are acting without thinking are stupid to me.
You can find
Again,
Greg on the overtime at WWE. No, keep going, Greg.
no, I mean that's it. I mean that's as simple as it gets to me. It's and it doesn't matter what form of media that you're talking about here. Like people who don't actually want to put the logical, rational, critical thought into anything, doesn't matter what it is, are people that I don't really want to have a conversation with. Because they're the people that are going to, they're the people that are going to see things their way only. They're never going to do the whole put myself in somebody else's shoes situation. They're going to be the people in the world that go, I see my path this way, and this person that's taking this path is pissing me off because it's not how I would see it. And so now I'm just going to get angry at them. I'm not going to go, well, maybe it was this situation or maybe it was this situation. They don't want to do that. And I don't want to have conversations with those people.
Right.
And you guys don't seem that way. That's why I'm totally open right now and just talking far too much in this podcast.
No, it's good. It's fine. I'll end this podcast with a question to all of you, and Kazu, you be first.
Okay.
What do you predict? Say, because it is true, people are going to get over this. It's a trend for gamers that they do. But prediction wise, in the future, when more DLC come out, and when people realize or come to grips that DLC is already on the disc, or if they're still mad about it, what do you think will happen in the future?
Well, man, the future. I don't really know. I mean, about as far as Street Fighter Tekken goes, I was thinking just a second ago that like I said, I didn't really care about the Mass Effect 3 thing because I'm a fan. I'm gonna do it however they have it set up, because it doesn't really bother me. But I was really just thinking, as far as Street Fighter X Tekken goes, I think with DLC in the future, as far as what the developers should do is they shouldn't, if the series or the game is from a series or has any relation to a series and it has a character, or they plan to put a character in DLC that was in a previous game, I don't think they should put one that was already well known, like Sakura, in a DLC. You know what I mean? They should have the DLC should be new things, I think. And
Yeah.
I
think that might
agree with you on that one.
really help the fans too by saying, okay, so here we go, we're starting our game. We've got all the familiar faces, and then hey, there's a DLC with a new guy that's something to look forward to, and that makes sense for DLC to me. And if they learn from that, I think that in the future that the fans will grow to be more acceptable to things like this if it's stuff like that. On Mass Effect, Javik, and the whole From Ashes thing, that's all brand new, so that's why I didn't really care. I think I would have gotten actually kind of annoyed if they were to take one of my favorite characters from Mass Effect 1 or 2, like Garrus, and make Garrus a DLC character. That would have made me mad, actually, a little bit. But so there's like two different. It's like there's more than one type of DLC. There's like something that's new and then something that's not new. That's just extra now. And so, but I think that they can learn from the developers can learn from what's going on right now, and that maybe fans won't react as harshly in the future. But it could go just like the choice making in Mass Effect. It can go either way.
Nicely put.
Yeah. Completely agree.
Sam, your predictions for the future of DLC?
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of I'm not sure. I do agree with not adding a really popular character as something downloadable later down the road. That seems kind of, because I mean, I know a lot of people go like, oh, well, they buy a game because they like that specific character. I'm a big fan of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and if you're gonna still keep a well-known, extremely popular character with the series, I wouldn't have it in the downloadable content later down the road. So that's the only thing that I hope maybe they'll change their minds about for any future type of games. As for Mass Effect, I mean, I just only can see developers continuing doing that because, I mean, it seems to make sense to, work on the downloadable content with the game rather than working on it later down the road or just, work on it while it saves money. It saves you download problems later down the road. And, yeah, it's already on the disc, so you don't have to have more, need to use up hard drive space. So I can only see them continue doing that, and I wouldn't care. Maybe some people might be bugged about that, but I mean, that's something I wouldn't care about. So I mean, I don't know. There's a few things I think about what the industry might do in the future on this topic. So.
I got you, Sam. I got you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
Greg, your predictions.
My predictions is that the developers aren't gonna stop doing this. They're gonna keep doing this. It's easier on them and on the budget to make DLC at the same time they're working on the game, only due to the fact that making DLC after the game's fact is that the company might want to be working on the next title. They might want to move on. They might want to put more resources into whatever next amazing thing they're going to give us, and to basically halt all of that to come out with DLC down the road is just downright not going to work. So I think that I feel like companies are going to keep doing this. I feel like it's some things are going to get worse before they get better due to the fact that downloading is a thing. I think that very many few years down the road, I don't know when. I almost want to say the next generation of consoles is going to be download only. Like, you're only going to be able to download games. And I say this in the regard of, like, Steam and Origin are huge right now. If you have a PC and you are buying games in a store, you're a chump. Just put it that way. You are, and I'm saying that in the regards that, like, it's a situation where it's just so much easier to buy your game on Origin or Steam than it is to actually go in the store. And I don't even know if stores still sell discs anymore. They might. I honestly don't know.
For PC?
Yeah.
For PC, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. I haven't been in a...
It's a very small section.
Yeah, it is.
I figured it'd be basically like the VHS section when DVD came out. It was just getting smaller and smaller until it just vanished.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like the next generation is going to be download only, and it's going to allow developers to really work with the console's capabilities and not be restrained by disc. I don't think that downloading is necessary. Like, downloading a full title is necessarily a bad thing. But what that does stop people from doing is buying used copies of games. It stops rental companies from doing what they're doing. It's like the whole, like I've asked this in overtime many times, like, do you think everything going digital is a good thing? Digital comics, digital movies, music, like, you can literally get any form of entertainment from your computer nowadays. You don't have to go anywhere else. Shit, you could get groceries from your computer.
That is true.
So I mean, I do feel like if this type of technology keeps evolving, then, and this is a way in like this is, I'll be like 68 years old when this happens, but it'll be a situation where people won't be going to the store to get anything anymore, and that everything's going to be download only. So this DLC thing that people are complaining about, it's kind of one of those passing things. People aren't going to be complaining about that much, and developers aren't going to be listening to people that much about it, and they're just going to keep doing what they're doing.
Very well put. I'm going to conclude this podcast in saying that I agree with every one of you. I believe, like, the developers are going to keep doing this. I believe that people who are just finding out now are, kind of slow, because it's a understandable viewpoint for a developer to put the content ready on the disc. My only thing, though, as far as, like, I want to see in the future, and this pertains to fighting games, is that I would like to see two things. One, have every fighter in the game and not put them as DLC because that just makes the game more complete. I don't really have to say like, I bought the game and I was like, oh, I like, it's 1/3 of it done. Like here's the other.
Would you agree? Would you agree that pricing is a thing? Because like in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, downloadable characters are like $5 a piece.
Well,
I think that's a bit steep.
Oh, yeah, Blaze
Wow.
Blue had $8 characters.
the characters weren't that. I mean, in my opinion, $5 per character was not bad. I think.
Then again, I don't play fighters as much as you do,
That's
so I
true.
mean, it depends on the value. I guess the value and what you
That's
see of
true.
the character.
That's true. It goes A, if the character's worth it, and B, if it's worth that amount of money. It to me, like, you don't really have to have the characters in the game to per se play them, or which is kind of interesting to have them both in there. It just depends on the character. I like if it was say, you have to say they made Venom, which I so hope they do one day. If they Venom to Marvel's Capcom 3 and it was like $5-7, hell yeah, I'll put that money down for it. But if it's a character like say, I'll just throw a random character out there. Say it's like Blackheart from MC2. Like I'm not really gonna put money down for it because I feel like
Right.
that character's not really worth my time and effort.
On a small side note, I say, and I hate to do it, I just remembered it, but I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I think one of the most ridiculous forms of micro DLC, and I say micro because each of these is like $1, $2, and there's a ton of it, is skins for guns in Gears of War 3.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
If you want them all, it's like $30.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. Yeah, but that to me is funny and doesn't piss me off because it's like I don't need a fucking skin for my gun, and if you're really willing to shovel out the money for that, then you probably have more money problems than I need to know about.
Yeah. What was I saying? So yeah, like DLC is going to be something developers going to be putting on disc. I do see the future that yes, everything will be digital, everything will be download, and I will see that developers will be making the DLC content with the game when it comes out, so I don't have to worry about later on. And just to end the whole Street Fighter X Tekken debacle, my last note before we close everything off. I read an update today that Capcom Unity put out a new blog, and they've kind of discussed the whole DLC plan, and they did the right thing and releasing free stuff now, and for the next month or two, and then the whole DLC characters in the fall, all 12 characters, $20 for all of them, which is cool. Like because I was fearing that they might do like $5 a character or like $3 a character. They're actually doing the whole like 12 character roster, 12 characters this fall for $20, which I'm totally down with. So anyways, that's our show. It was a great having you guys here today for this podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely,
Thanks.
yeah. Love to do this with you guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. Kazu, I'm gonna start with you. Where can they find you on the internet?
Well, right now, runaroundnetwork.com, my website is it is up, but I'm like editing it like every day until I get it like up to where I want it to be. So right now, actually, a better place to find me is on Facebook. You can actually type in Runaround Network on Facebook, and you can check out and like our Facebook page. Also, I'm on there too as Hikaru Kazushime. Also, I have a Twitter, same thing, Runaround Network on Twitter, and yeah.
Cool, awesome. Greg, your turn.
A couple places that you can find me on both the podcasts, technically all three of the podcasts that we do on artisticalliance.org. There's the Freaking Awesome Podcast, which is our review show. And we review anything, like anything that's a form of entertainment, we review. Then we have my podcast, which is The Overtime, which is a discussion podcast, much like what we did today, but we have more than one topic. And I try to keep everything in like 10-minute intervals for each topic. And so it's a little bit more. It's a different structure than what this was. So it's similar but different. And then the final podcast that we do that we haven't had a new episode of in a long time is Super Quiz Time.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's very similar. It's very similar to a podcast that NPR does called Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, where the whole episode has a theme, and it's all based around entertainment culture, or geek culture as it's as commonly known as now. So that's a lot of fun. So we should have some. Apparently, they're writing new episodes for Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. So like more questions, I should say. So we'll know in the future. But you can still check out the episodes that we've done. All on artisticalliance.org. You can find me on Twitter and Tumblr at ChubRockGeek. If you want, you can friend me on Facebook under my name's Greg Dietz. You can find me very easily, and I have no problem accepting friend requests from people. I also have a blog on YouTube called The Geek Losing It, where I quickly talk about my how I feel about my weight loss stuff, and then I go into a review, a rant, whatever I want to talk about that has to do with geek culture. So those are the places you can find me online.
Sweet. Awesome. Sam, where can they find you on the internet?
You can still find me on Facebook, Clinton Lewis on Facebook. Also, I do have a blog where it's samshio, samshio.com, where it's mostly just about photography, since that's what I just do in my spare time. Besides those two places, I do reviews for Mission Start Podcast and stuff like that, and I think there might be a little bit more information on the About Me page too there. If I remember.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So yes, you can find us, me and Sam, and this podcast on our website, missionstartpodcast.com. You can find us on Twitter at missionstartp. You can also find us on YouTube at Mission Start Podcast 1. Let's see, where else? We have a Facebook page. You can find us at Mission Start Podcast /Facebook, or I had that reversed. Facebook/missionstartpodcast.com. And if you want to follow me and my shenanigans, I'm on Twitter at Defective Naruto. And that's kind of where I roam from time to time. And yeah, I mean,
but your shenanigans are mild at best.
I mean, hey, I mean, I've been busy as of late, but whenever I get the chance, I'll retweet some crazy shit that's happening out in the weird world. Actually, to end this podcast, I'm not sure if you guys know, but you know what happened to the guy who did the whole Coney 2012 thing?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Just read about that like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Man, I mean, it was funny. I saw on Twitter, like, the quote was like this is the fastest time where everybody found out about a guy masturbating.
I love the fact that on Valentine's Day I made everyone laugh at a masturbation joke.
Yeah.
If you follow me on Facebook and Twitter, I posted a picture. I posted 3 pictures of me and my hand in romantic situation.
It is awesome. Anyways, thanks again for you guys coming on board for this podcast. Thanks you guys for listening. And we will see you next